You ever been hit by a real man or like a daddy woman? You ever been kidnapped or played hide and go seek rather poorly? You ever eaten candy in the pews at church, you sugary little Hester Prynne? I was in Philadelphia all weekend. I had a sensual relapse. I got my first guest coming on, a troubled brother that I met at the DMV. Oh, welcome to This Past Weekend. This Past Weekend. Dun, 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 dun. That's a bad rendition of the Rocky song, man. Welcome to This Past Weekend. I put that out there because I was in Philadelphia. But today, it's gonna be May. It's May 1st, man. I believe it's May 1st, 2017. And I appreciate you guys being here with me, man. We got a lot going on. We have a guest coming in. I got my first guest, this troubled gentleman that I met. And I say troubled, but, you know, a man who's going through things. Just like we all are. He and I kind of bonded at the DMV. It's Department of Motor Vehicles. It's a great equalizer of humanity. You know, everybody has to go there. And he and I were both there at the same time, and he had an issue with a Snicker bar. I think it was a Snicker, maybe a Payday. It could have been a Payday candy. And but he was making me laugh. And I thought I would have him on, man. So he and I have been communicating. He's coming in today. Stephen is the gentleman's name. This past weekend, I was in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Unless you're over off of Godfrey and 2nd Avenue, then a couple brothers over there were not loving each other. Saw two gentlemen. One of them it looked like a tire iron from kind of far away. I don't know if they were beating each other, but definitely tapping each other. One of them was tapping the other guy real hard with a tire iron. And I don't know if you can not beat somebody with a tire iron. I don't know if you can just, casually hit somebody with a tire iron. So it looked like a beating to me. But I had a good time in Philadelphia. I hadn't spent much time there. I went to an event called Night at the Fights. And Bernard Hopkins was there. One of the greatest welterweight champions, I believe, of our time. I believe it's welterweight. And this gentleman, I saw him one time outside of a fast food joint here in Los Angeles. But Philadelphia is his home city there. And he looked very like his face had been kind of, I don't want to say rearranged. And I'm not shaming him. I'm just saying I'd never seen a boxer up close this much. And he looked like a child had kind of made his face, or like an artistic child. A-R, not A-U. Like an artistic child had kind of made his face out of paper mache or something, kind of, from one of those, like they'd put it on a balloon. Remember how you used to do that in school? You would do an arts and crafts, and I felt like I excelled at arts and crafts personally. And that's something I felt like I did do well with, glue and all the craft materials. But anyhow, it looked like his face had been like a child had made it on a balloon. Where you put the paper mache on, then you pop it, and you're left with what you created, kind of a little sunken in because the balloon is now gone. It's not supporting the paper mache. And it looked a little bit like that, like his face had been just slightly kind of renovated. Like his eye was like like here an eye, there an eye, everywhere a lip, kind of like old McDonald, I guess, man. I didn't realize I'm kind of breaking into that cancer there, but yeah, kind of old McDonald. It was just, it was like, you ever remember those things on the wall that you had to get close to and then slowly back away from, and it would form a picture and you could see it. It was like it used to be it was a book, or sometimes people would have them framed on their walls or something, and the image would appear. It was like a 3D image, but not if you were just looking. It was kind of like that a little bit with Mr. Hopkins' face. And again, I'm not shaming him. I'm just letting you know what a championship boxer looks like years later. And it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Like if you got close, you were kind of like, oh, what is this? But if you kind of move back slowly, then you're like, oh, boom, that's Bernard Hopkins. So it was interesting to be there. It was a charity event where I was performing, and they had some singers called Brotherly Love there in Philadelphia. 4 young gentlemen who were extremely talented, and they had a lot of great fights. They had 5 sanctioned boxing matches, and they had 4, I believe, celebrity matches. And I'd never been to a boxing match. I don't know if you guys have been to boxing. I've been beaten a few times by people. I have a dream where I repeatedly punch this Ranga, this red-haired kid. I repeatedly punch him. He works at a Popeye's Chicken. He's a manager. And I have a dream where I repeatedly punch him. So that's kind of like a fight I guess I've kind of won. I don't know if he's even allowed to punch me. It's a dream of mine. But and then I remember one of my friends, actually, when I was in middle school. We weren't friends at the time, but he was the biggest guy in our school. Bradley was his name. And he and I were facing off against each other, and I knew it was going to escalate. And I was hoping it didn't, but I didn't want to look like a wimp, and all the kids were circled around. And I had my arms by my side, somebody took my fist and pushed it into him, and then he beat me. That man, well, he wasn't a man, but he was as much of a man as you could see in the 4th or 5th grade. He beat me pretty decently. But they had a program at our school in middle school, and this was at C.J. Shane Middle School, the same school that Lee Harvey Oswald used to attend. So just to add a little bit of texture to the environment. And at our school, if you got in a fight, they had a man named Lawton McKee, and he was the principal, not the principal. That was his motto. I'm your principal. And he would make you hug. So you and the man, whoever you got in a fight with, your co-fighter, or your beater in this point. I mean, I felt like a spouse in this thing. I felt like a 1970s spouse. You had to stand there in the hallway for the rest of the day with your arms on each other's shoulders. And that let everybody know that you were fighting. It was kind of like you were shamed a little bit. It was almost like when they used to put your head like in the guillotine or whatever, and they would make you stay in the stocks or whatever all day in like the 1600s or whatever or something. Robin Hood times. But anyhow, me and this guy, Bradley, had to stand there, and you basically have to hug each other all day. You have to keep your hands on the other person's shoulders, and all the kids between classes are running by, and it's really embarrassing. But he and I became great friends from that, because it's a great, you get connected because you're standing there. You can't be enemies at a certain point. You're joking around, or you get past it. So I thought that was a pretty neat method that they used in middle school, and he became a friend of mine. But those are some of the fights that I've been in, mostly light beatings, or my mother beat me a lot when I was a child. What else? That was pretty much it. But it was cool to see some fights, man. It was cool to see, just the intensity of it. These guys are just like violent ballerinas. The footwork, and they flew a lot of fighters up from Mexico, and they had 5 fighters from Philadelphia, and they had three of them were facing Mexican fighters, and it seemed like they were just to kind of fluff their records a little bit, like they fly these guys up from Mexico, they probably pay them, maybe $1,500 or $2,000 for flying up. And some of them took some beatings. It was kind of sad a little bit. First of all, I felt like it might not even happen anymore with the North American Free Trade Agreement, trouble looming there. But this might be the end. This might be the last time some of these guys come up here and get beaten. And they might not always get beaten. I hadn't been to fights before, but they seemed like sacrificial lambs, sort of to potentially pad the records of these Philadelphia boxers. And it was wild to watch, man. Just the intensity of it. It blew my mind, man. It blew my mind. And but some of the boxers, the Latino guys, it was almost like when when you put a mouse, when you feed a snake, and I never had a snake. I lived with a boy that had a snake one time, and it bit him. It kept biting him, and then I think it choked to death, honestly, on a gumball. He was in the gumball business. He was slinging balls at local grocery stores and outlets. This is back when gum was king. This is 15 years ago, at least. And he had a snake that I think choked to death on I think it was a gumball, honestly. I don't remember too much more about it, but and ironically, I think it was a ball python, and that's not a joke. I think that's what it was. But anyhow, and I remember he would feed him these mice. He'd put these mouses small mouse in there, and he'd put them in there, and it was. I felt, I hated watching that, man. I hated watching a snake get fed. And I know it's I know it's the food chain, It's like when I eat a chicken, if there's another chicken over at the window looking in, it probably, feels disappointed that this is how it goes, that I just buy it and thaw it out and cook it. I mean, at least this mouse had a chance in there. It was alive, but it didn't really have a chance against a snake. And that's how I felt with some of these Mexican fighters. They fly them up. It's a real fight. It's sanctioned, so it counts against their record and the Philadelphia fighters' records. And some of them did a great job. I mean, there were a couple guys I thought had a chance to win. One of the guys I almost thought was going to beat the Philadelphia boxer. But it was... But then it just reminded me of that snake, just like, dang, this mouse doesn't have a chance. And it's in there and it's feeling its life out, but it just looks scared. Because I guess I romanticized it, I guess I always romanticized when I heard that a snake ate a mouse. I guess I felt like a mouse probably was somewhere and was cold or maybe didn't have clothes, and then a snake like a snake came along and was like, oh, hey, hey, cold mouse, why don't you get inside of my mouth? It's warm in my mouth. And then a mouse just got in there and then it just swallowed it, like trickery. I didn't think it was as violent as it is when you see a mouse just fighting for its life in a cage where a snake lives, in a snake's cage. So that's kind of what seemed like occurred to me. That's what was going on in my brain as I watched some of these Mexican fighters, just fighting for their lives out there against some of these Philadelphia boxers. Some amazing boxers, man. If you haven't been to a boxing match, it's good, man. I mean, the closest I'd seen to boxing in a while was probably I saw some UFC recently, and then I saw some Real Housewives of Atlanta a few years back, and those bitches were getting pretty legit on there. Some hand action. What else, man? Sensual update. I'll hit you guys with that, dude. I'd been doing pretty decent. I'd strung together about 7 days of laying off the masty and not doing any self-gratification, no jerky, no heavy touching, man. Sometimes even if I wanted to grab myself or in my pecker area, I would instead just press my palm against my penis hard, just real hard, and kind of just, vibe there a little for a second, but I wouldn't do any, actual, trying to pleasure myself. I'd committed to try and go 90 days without doing masturbation. And some of you guys, I've gotten calls from people on the hotline, and we're going to get some calls in a little bit. We're going to have our first guest in today. I'll tell you about that in just a second. But I've gotten calls. People are like, what do you ever get some masturbation, man? Like I'm from another country, what do you have against, we can't jerk off, it's good for you. And I feel that, man. It is. If you don't have an issue, if you haven't, if you don't have a bad habit of it, then yeah, I'm not saying don't masturbate. I'm not saying don't touch yourself or do pleasure, okay? Or find pleasure in your crotch or do special things with yourself. But I'm saying to people that have an issue, that have created a bad habit of it, which in my life, it is, when I look back on my life, it has been a bad habit. I've created a bad habit where it's not, I don't just get pleasure out of it. I get some sense of shame out of it. So that's why I'm trying to correct. That's why I'm trying to correct myself. I'm not telling you if you don't do, spraying or self-skeeting and you don't have an issue with it, you're fine. You don't think it makes you don't feel any shame, then that's fine. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just sharing what I am doing, okay? So I just want that to be known. But yeah, so I got to start over, man. I got to start over. I'm going for 90 days. I have a sponsor. I know that sounds crazy. I have basically like a masturbation sponsor where you check in, kind of let them know what's going on. And that's awkward. I mean, that's awkward to make that call and leave a voicemail to a man and let him know that you've been touching yourself, when you're in your 30s. So I'm not feeling super bad because I'd had a good week there. I didn't look at any pornography. I've done a good stretch off of pornography. And I think pornography is the devil, dude. And you can think it's not, and that's fine if you're using it comfortably. But I got to a point where it was a bad habit. So for me, that's Satan's little puppets out there when I see pornography. So that's how I feel. I feel like it's ruining men, okay? It's taking away some of our sensuality. It's killing chi. It's a chi killer, bruh. And it's enough of that going on out in the mainstream media. They're trying to kill men. They don't want us here. Okay, I believe that. They want strong lesbians. I feel like they'll probably have underground labs where they're trying to grow stacked meat onto a lesbian. And they don't even need men anymore. And and that's very much a possibility. You drive by, you hear about these bunkers and stuff, and I don't even know if it's the military anymore. Years ago it was the military doing weird shit, like trying to, put baby's eyes into a grown man. We'd always hear that rumor or, different stuff like that. Trying to switch people's legs and make them dance or, different stuff. But now I think it's big business. It's probably Google down there trying to, not tie, but sew or knit a man's crotch onto a woman, or they're trying to get rid of us. So by us spraying out on the internet every night and waking up all good, we're not helping our own cause, man. I strongly believe that. So anyhow, onward. But that's what's going on with me. I had to do a Sensual update and check in with you guys, let you know where I'm at. I am feeling some remorse. I'm going to go for 90 days, though. And we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. What else can I get into? I saw that President Trump didn't go to the Correspondents' Dinner, which I thought was hilarious. He went to Harrisburg to spend time with his fans. What would you do? It's like going over to it's like going to a bunch of chicks that hate you's house. Guess what, chicks? Not going to come over there, okay? I'm going to go hang out with a couple of bad bitches that I know enjoy my company. I just get what he's doing. It just seemed like such a beef. I thought half the jokes that they played about him were gutter anyway, were Muppet. I mean, it's kind of hard when the only people that can be made fun of anymore are white people, But I'm not going to get political, man. I got a guest coming in, and I want to tell you about him. He'll be in just a few minutes. First, I want to tell you about these dates. This weekend, May 6th and 7th, I'll be in Phoenix, Arizona. My mother used to live there outside of Glendale, and she actually lives in Tucson now. I just remembered that. And she's seeing a gentleman that has Alzheimer's, and they're doing stuff out there together. What else? Tampa, Florida. That's pirate country. A lot of deviant ex-husbands and bad mustaches down there in Tampa. That's May 25th to May 28th. I'll be there at Side Splitters. June 1st through 4th, I'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I caught pink eye there one time. Cordell Stewart allegedly got a blowjob there years ago in a sand trap on the Shenley Park golf course. What else? I got a blowjob there behind the Giant Eagle, which is just a Kroger. They rename it, I guess, when you get up into that region. That's just a Kroger grocery. June 23rd and 24th, I'll be in New York City at Gotham Comedy Club. And Gotham Comedy Club, that's over there off, I think, like 25th and 3rd or 23rd and 5th. I'm excited about that. And June 30th, I'll be in Wyoming, Illinois. That's near the Quad Cities in Iowa. It's about 40 minutes from Peoria, Illinois. It's my mother's hometown, and we're doing a beautiful fundraiser there in that area. So you can come. So you can come and check that out. We're doing a beautiful fundraiser there. Tickets are on sale on theovon.com/tour for all of those. It's the Hampin' Ain't Easy tour. You can still get the album online. And I got a guest, guys. I know I've talked about it. I'm nervous about it. And I also want to let you know, I didn't even tell you the backdrop today. I just felt comfortable, man. We're here at Conscious Studios in Santa Monica, and I met a gentleman. We basically met off the internet, off the webs, and gentleman Sherb, and he's a producer. He runs audio, and he invited me to come in here and try to be here in their studio tonight at Conscious Studios. So I'm really. I feel fortunate about that because I had no plan for this. No plan, I mean, I didn't have a big plan anyway, I just have, I just feel grateful that this happened. Here I am. I'm sitting in a beautiful studio. They had a dog here earlier. Beautiful dog. I don't know how old it was, maybe a middle-aged or younger animal. And here I am enjoying myself here. And feeling comfortable, man. I forgot to tell you that I was here. I'm sure you're like, where are you? Are you in like a space lab? No, I'm here at Conscious Studios. I got a guest coming in, guys. He's going to be here in just a moment. I met a gentleman at the DMV, and we chatted briefly. His gentleman, Steven. And he seemed kind of uneven to me, He seemed like he'd been through a lot. And we all go through things, but he had a lot of joy. He also had he was a little bit wild in the eyes. I could tell that he'd been through some of the ups and downs. And I invited him here tonight. And he's coming. I didn't know if he would come, but he's going to be here momentarily. So I'm excited to kind of talk to him. I don't know kind of how it's going to go, but I am excited. I'm excited that he's coming. Yeah, man, you can scoot over next to it, too, if you want, to see a little bit cooler on it.
You can hear me?
Yep, you can hear him? We're good, man.
I thank you a lot.
Yeah, man, thank you so much.
I thank you a lot.
So, Steven, I met you at the DMV.
I met you.
And
it was cool.
Yeah, it was cool, man. You were chilling, and you had something was wrong with your leg at the time. What was that about?
I had that boot on.
Yeah.
Now the boot is off.
Yeah, you look healthier, man.
Look, you see it?
Yeah,
look,
man.
You see it?
Oh, you got both wheels.
I can stand up.
You got both wheels, man. Are you feeling better?
You know what? I feel a lot better, but inside it's like hurting, but I still feel it though.
Yeah,
it's like the pain never leave you.
Yeah,
when you get hurt,
yeah,
the pain never leave you.
Oh, you think it stays in your body?
Like if you get shot or whatever, you still gonna feel it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, So what's been going on with you, man? Since I saw you. What's it like, man? Tell me about your life a little bit.
My life is going on. It's going good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to check myself in a program or whatever. I'm living downtown LA.
Okay, nice, man.
And it's like, Lord, I scream the name of the Lord. I be like, man, let me get up out of this situation that I'm in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be in the situation I'm in, so I gotta say, hey, let me check myself in a program or something.
Yeah. Like a 30-day program? 7 day? Because I'm in
12 months.
Oh, you a long term?
Yeah, long term. It's like 12 months. You know what I'm saying? It's a long term.
Yeah.
Like you said. Yeah.
I feel that, man. I just got 9 months sober. I just hit 9 months
sober.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
So this is the first time I've been into a program, but I just got 9 months. Yeah. So I'm.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
I can say that though.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
I
appreciate that.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, you could teach me how to do it,
Well,
I'm not going to lie to you.
I mean, you said it on the way in, just having, I have the toughest time trying to control my own life instead of just turning it over to a higher power. That's my toughest problem, man.
It's tough with me too. But
Yeah.
it's
Because
tough.
I want to control everything.
But yeah, it's not that tough though. Look,
It's not. But
once
we
you start
make it
fighting them
tougher.
demons in you, you try to fight the demons on your own.
Yeah.
When it's a higher power that can do it for you.
Can do it for you,
know
but
what I'm
we
saying?
try to do it.
And then you answer your own question. There you go.
Yeah, man.
There you go, young man.
Why do we do that, you think? Why do we continually try to control everything, man? Why do we have such a tough time, you think, turning it over?
Because we still try to control our own destiny. We be like, hey, I want to do it for myself. I want to do this. I can do it by myself.
Yeah.
I'm Spider-Man. I'm Superman. Or whoever the character that
Yeah.
you claim to be.
Yeah.
I'm He-Man.
Somebody
or whoever.
fancy.
The Castle of Grayskull or whatever.
Yeah.
The Castle of Grayskull is nothing compared to the Lord, Father God,
Yeah.
or Father God. You know what I'm saying?
Or whatever higher power.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's what you.
That higher power,
That's
man.
what I can say. Yeah.
I feel you, man. So where are you from, Steve?
I'm from South Central. I'm from L.A.
You grew up in South Central?
I grew up in L.A., South Central.
And what was it like when you were growing up here,
When
man?
I grew up, I gang bang, and I didn't mean to gang bang, but I'm a nerd. I went to school, and my mama and daddy whooped my ass.
Yeah.
And I meant to go to school,
Yeah.
but it was like, we had a 3-bedroom house in Long Beach,
Yeah.
so it wasn't no problem. We got fed, we got our ass whooped when it was need to be. But
That's the two things my mother did, man. I took a lot of L's, but she made some macaroni.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
had to
I took
get
a
your-
lot of L's, but she made decent macaroni. My mother did. You know?
Yeah. My mama was making them she made what was that, the red beans and rice.
Yeah.
And then she made the it was the sardines.
Sardines, huh?
Sardines.
I didn't eat that, man.
Nah, but
not my
it was
vibe.
something else too though. It was the salmon patties.
Oh yeah.
It was the salmon patties.
But if you
ever
popping deans, man, I never
if you-
popped any deans, man. I didn't eat.
salmon patties.
Oh yeah.
You ever ate
Salmon patties? But you know what? I had an ex-girlfriend, and her mother used to make them all the time. I
Salmon
didn't eat them,
patties.
but people like them though.
Salmon patties.
Yeah, people like them.
Salmon patties.
Salmon
they
patties,
Cook,
man.
they cook them like a little. It's like a burger.
Yeah,
They can put them with. They do Lay's potato chips with them.
yeah. It's a beautiful snack.
It is.
It's a beautiful snack,
It
man.
is.
Is that is it? What's your sandwich of choice these days? You think?
My sandwich of choice is like. I do a turkey sandwich.
Yeah, me
I do
too.
turkey with you give me some Swiss cheese, turkey,
Yeah.
and then I could do some bologna with it.
Damn, turkey and bologna.
Yeah, I could do it like that.
Wow.
And it wouldn't,
Yeah.
it wouldn't, no harm, no foul.
I never had that,
So
man.
you go do turkey, bologna. I don't know what they call it. Salami.
Yeah, damn.
You know
You
what I'm
like
saying?
it.
Sometimes
all
they
meat,
do it,
huh?
Yeah, because when you smoke crack, you coming off that crack. I ain't smoked crack for 2 years.
Oh wow, congratulations, man.
You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
ain't smoked no crack for 2 years. But
Yeah.
meth, I don't know.
Yeah.
Meth is like, it's hard to control.
Is it really?
It is. Meth is hard to, it's hard to get off that meth.
I never had trouble with that, man. I've had trouble
You
with some
never-
cocaine, but I never had any problems with
Meth?
with
Never?
meth.
How?
I don't know.
How did that happen?
I feel
How did you
fortunate I
dodge
didn't.
that?
You know, I didn't get involved with with drugs too much. You know, I'd started to have some problems with it, and that's when I started to.
Leave it alone?
Yeah.
I got into it through trying to be hard. I wanted
Yeah.
to be a man. So
Yeah.
I wanted to be a man, and it's hard to be a man out here without a kid. You know, you gotta figure out your way out in life. And it's like, damn, how do I figure out one way in life without a kid? I gotta be a man, and I don't have a kid.
Do you have
but,
Do you have any children?
I don't have a children. I don't have no child now.
Yeah.
Not that I know about.
Yeah.
It's hard to figure that one out right now. But I'm 41 years old, and it's hard to figure it out now. So.
And
You know?
what did you when you were younger? What did you want to be when you were younger?
When I was young, I wanted to just be just like my daddy, just to work and just bring home bread
Yeah.
and just feed my kids. And just be like my daddy. Because my daddy, I got 3 sisters and a brother.
Yeah. Oh, y'all had 5 children.
I got
then.
3, yeah. I got 3 sisters and a brother.
And
me.
they all live in Los Angeles?
It's 5. Yeah, they all like South Central, Los Angeles. But it's like that's all I wanted to be, like my daddy. I just wanted to have kids and just take care of them and just work and come home and sleep and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whoop their butt when they needed to be whooped. You know, like you know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
be like my daddy. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's how my daddy was.
Do you think you'll still have a chance to be a father in your life?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't never leave that out. I never leave that out. I never leave that out. I never leave it out.
Yeah.
I never leave myself out to count. Like, you know what I'm saying? I could leave myself out, but I never leave myself out.
Yeah.
Because my daddy taught me that. He said, man, never leave yourself out. Always count yourself in.
Yeah.
Never leave yourself out. Always count yourself in. You know what I'm saying? You never know when you can win.
Yeah.
You know, just like the lottery or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you scratch a ticket. I see a lot of people scratching tickets nowadays.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
nowadays,
saying?
yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you never know when you can lose, I mean, or win, you know.
But yeah, you're a survivor, man, it seems like.
Yeah, I have to be.
What's, if you don't mind sharing, like, what's like a day in your life like these days, you know?
My day in the life is like just going to go panhandle and go get some change and then make about 10, 20 bucks and try to get some weed and that's it. Like, you know, and don't bother nobody. Like,
Yeah.
if I bother somebody, it seems like, oh, I'm your father or whatever. It seems like I'm, you know, I don't want to be no better than nobody. Like, you know, it's like I gotta be humble.
Yeah.
I'm being humble nowadays. It's like I don't want to be in nobody's way. Like I'm like one of them little flies, like a butterfly or
Yeah.
something. I don't want to be in nobody's way. Like
You just want to stop in, go, stop in, go.
yeah, just just like that. Yeah, just hey, you see me, now you don't see me. But then when you see me, it's like it's a good thing. Every time you see me, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not nothing bad. Yeah.
So it seemed like your life's probably had ups and downs in it. Do you blame anybody for the things in your life?
I don't
For
blame
the tough
nobody.
times?
I don't
Because
blame
I go through
nobody.
moments where I feel like I go through moments mostly where I blame myself.
Don't
probably.
blame nobody. Blame your. I do. I blame myself. I can't blame nobody else. Like just like you said, I don't blame nobody else.
Yeah.
I can't find nobody else to blame. You know what I'm saying? When you go searching through things and stuff like that, you go digging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like how did I end up in the place where I'm at?
Yeah.
You can't never blame nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody's to blame.
Have you battled with addiction for a long time? Or no?
I have.
Yeah.
I'm 41 years old.
Right. You
I've
look
been
good for
battling-
41, man.
I mean, I've been battling with this little addiction for a long time, but it's like it's a long time battling.
It's
with
a tough
addiction.
battle.
Yeah. It ain't, you just get through it. You know what I'm saying? It's like you look at yourself in the mirror every day and be like, this is me.
Yeah.
I have to do it. And
Yeah.
you go out and do it. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to
and
keep
then
my
you get
sometimes
easy to it.
Do you find it's hard to keep your hopes up sometimes? Sometimes I find it's hard to keep my hopes up.
Sometimes you just can't do it, though. You can't, just like you say, you blame yourself. So when you blame yourself, it ain't hard to do it. You just go through your thing. You go through your life,
Yeah.
your addictions. That's your addiction, not nobody else's.
Right.
It ain't nobody else's problem but yours.
Yeah.
So, that's how I live my life. I mean, I don't live my life blaming nobody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do
you feel like you could have done something different that would have put you in a better place so far?
I believe that. I believe that. I believe that.
Because I look back on my life and I know there's some choices I could have made. Like, I'm grateful for where I am, because I'm grateful I'm still alive. I'm grateful I wake up every day with an opportunity to make my life better or to at least try and be a better person. But is there anything specific that you look back on and regret?
Yeah, I do. A lot of things. Like, I done did dope, and I didn't, when you do that dope, you do meth, I done did, when I went with men, I did all that stupid, silly thing.
Oh, yeah, that happens on
what I'm saying? I
drugs.
didn't did all that silly thing.
That happens on drugs.
I didn't did all that silly
But that's
thing.
not us. That's the
You know
drugs.
what I'm saying? I'm a man. I mean, I'm a man. I'm a child of God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not a, But
that's the
I
drugs.
don't blame nobody for to do what they do when you do that drug.
Yeah.
I don't blame nobody for what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't blame nobody. But if you do it when you sober, I can blame you.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Then
If
you like to
do it when
party
you're
a little,
sober,
yeah.
If you do it when you're sober, yeah. But
So-
you know,
What were your dreams like when you were young?
I mean, I wanted to be you know what? I wanted to be just like my daddy. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to just fix computers. Like I'm good at electronics. I'm good at doing that, fixing things.
Yeah.
I always fix things.
Yeah.
My mama and my daddy, my mama always called me like, "Hey, come fix this." I fixed
You were the fixer.
everything. I'm the fixer.
Yeah.
You know.
And what
That's
are your
what I-
dreams like now, really, like when you think about it?
Now it's still the same thing. I mean, it never changed though. It's just like the same thing. But it's just like when you drink a lot and when you smoke a lot and when you put things in your life and you put things in your system,
Yeah.
it changed the whole situation up. You know, your whole ideas change up.
Did
don't
you
even-
know that you were addicted at first, or did you just think you were having a good time?
I never knew that until I went to a program.
Yeah.
Yeah, they teach you that when you go to a program, they teach you that. They
Yeah.
like, hey, you this and you that. But I don't let them learn me. You know, I learn myself through the. You know, I read the Bible a lot.
Yeah.
I go to God a lot. You know what I'm saying? And can't nothing stop you when you go to Him.
That's
Can't
it.
nothing stop you when you go to Him.
Do you feel like your life can continue to get better, or
It
do you feel like
can.
is it
I
tough
mean,
to
it
get from
can.
where you are in your life to a better spot? Like, I'm really curious. Like, what is it like?
It can get better, but in my mind it seemed like, oh, I can't go nowhere because when people, it seemed like I let people judge me, but I should not let that. I should not let nobody judge me.
You're concerned with
But I
what
let
people think.
I,
Me too, man.
my mind is like that, like, and I shouldn't let that, but I let that overcome me sometimes, like,
Yeah.
damn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think people
You
think
know
that
what
I'm no
talking about?
good.
Yeah.
That they don't want me around.
Yeah, I'll be like, damn, you can, you know what I'm saying? Looking at people like, oh, you laughing at me or whatever. I mean, I let people, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like sometimes if I hear somebody laugh far away, they might be having a good time. They might not even know me. But
They
I will
don't even
think
know. Yeah.
that they're laughing
they talking
at
about
me.
me or whatever.
I think they're laughing at me.
Yeah, and I think that. And I shouldn't let that overcome me, you know. I let those things overcome me, and I shouldn't do that. But, you know, it works
Yeah.
itself out, though. Then
Well-
that's when then that's where the liquor come at.
Yeah.
That's when I get the drinking.
Yeah,
A
because
lot.
you want to
I
not
take-
feel that bad feeling.
That pain. Yeah.
Steven, man. Even Steven, uneven Steven. What do they
No,
call you?
Look.
That's even, huh?
There you go. Look.
That's even.
I like what you said there, even, Steve. Thank you, man.
I like your
You're a
attitude,
good brother,
man.
You're a good brother.
So what advice would you give to young people or to anybody, man, that's out there that's struggling with addiction, man, that's really
what?
struggling?
I'll give them, you know what? Just, you know what? If you're going to do it, do it. Do it around your mama, do it around your daddy, do it at home. When you do it at home. Do it with your family. Don't do it with no strangers.
Yeah,
You know? When you get high, do it with some people that you know.
yeah.
Don't do it around no strangers that don't know you. You know? That's all I can say to the youngsters.
Yeah,
If you're going to do it around some people that you love, like some loved ones.
yeah.
Don't do it around no strangers that don't care about you, like too
At least
much.
be smart about it.
Be smart about it.
Yeah.
Like you said. Yeah.
Well, Steve, man, I appreciate you coming and hanging out, dude.
Yeah, thanks.
Would you come back again sometime and just
I
kind
will.
of
I mean,
let me know what's going on?
I will. Man.
And let
I'll
us
keep
know,
in
you
touch.
know?
I will.
Because I
will.
appreciate it, man. You know, I mean, I can't identify with some things you said, but I can identify with just wanting to make your parents proud
I do.
and not
do.
giving up on that dream.
I do. Exactly. Thank you a lot.
Yeah.
Man. Thank you.
Cool, man. Steven, we appreciate you chatting with us, and we'll do it again soon.
We will. Thank you a
Yeah.
lot, man.
All right, man. Be good out there and be in
I will.
touch, huh?
Thank you a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get back. I'll be back in just a second. I'm gonna walk Steven out, but I'm gonna and I'll catch some calls and we'll get onto the hotline. And we had a lot of great calls that came in on the hotline. A lot of people talking about worries about the future. People that don't believe in the future. You scared of the future, Steve?
No. I mean, I believe in future.
You
I
heard
mean,
him.
That's all you got. If you don't have the future, believe in what's behind you.
I know.
Yeah.
You heard him, man.
You don't want to go behind you. Just go for it.
Yeah. All right, I'll be right back. And Steven will be back in a few weeks, man. Thanks, Steven. I appreciate it, dude.
Thank you a lot.
Yeah?
Always go forward.
You come back, huh?
Always go forward.
All right, man. We'll go forward and just turn a couple times and make it back here.
You know what? You end up here.
Amen.
God bless you.
All right, guys. We just had Steven in here. Even Steven. And I'm excited that he's going to come back. You know, I don't know if it'll be a regular thing that he checks in with us or that he, you know, I don't know. You know, he was definitely in a different vibe than he was at the DMV. He was, you know, I don't really know kind of what level he was on. He kind of seemed to calm down after a bit, you know, but I thought it was interesting for him to come in and just share, you know, and to share some of his story. You know, this is the first interview that I've had with somebody in here, so I was, you know, a little pensive. You know, I don't know him, so that was, you know, that can be an issue sometimes if you don't know somebody. But I felt grateful that he shared some real stuff from his life, you know, because all we are, I feel like, is a lot of what we are some of the toughest things that have happened to us. And most of what we do is not talk about those things. And that's one thing that's just kind of fascinating to me about life. And I think it's one reason why I gravitate towards comedy, because a lot of times people on that stage, or it used to seem like, and some guys still are sharing, you know, things that they've gone through, real stuff, and trying to make it entertaining. And it's one reason why I like a lot of times going to some of these different types of, you know, meetings, the AA programs and the Sexual and Love Addiction Anonymous meetings, because you get to hear stories in there. Like I can even talk to some of my best friends, and it's hard to get to a real level with them sometimes. But man, you go into some of these rooms and you get to hear people's realness. You get to hear their truth, and you get to hear it a lot of times without much filter. And that's one of the things that really draws me, I think, to that environment. It's one of the reasons sometimes it may be bizarre, but it might be one of the reasons why I stay sober, because the only thing that I have to give up, my ticket to the show, my ticket to the AA show, to be able to hear people's stories and to be able to just hear what they're in, bro, what they've been through, the dirt in their heart, is just that I have to give up. I can't drink or use drugs. That's the ticket. Like, hey, do you pay your admission today? Yes, I did. Then you can come in. That's it. So anyway, I don't know if that's why I stand, but anyway, back to Steven. It was interesting. I thought he shared a lot. And it, you know, he battles addiction. I didn't realize that as much. I guess I thought that he, you know, he'd been caught up at moments in the dark arts, but he definitely seemed like, you know, he had a boot on when I met him, but he was more jovial. You know, like I said, he was involved with some Snickers or it could have been paydays or whatchamacallit keeps popping into my head. It's also a candy with a long name, but it pops into my head as that could have been also something he'd been snacking on. But anyway, I'm glad that he came in, man. And let's get to some questions, man. You guys had some call-in questions. And I'm going to look for other guests to come in, you know. I wanted to kind of get into the life of a little bit of a troubled brother. I don't really sit down that much and talk with a troubled brother like Steven, you know, and get to hear some of their problems. So for me, that was interesting, you know, and just to sit there man to man and try to share. I was a little nervous, to be honest with you. So hopefully, if Steven comes back, that we'll get to learn a little bit more about him. All right, let's get into some questions here, man. Now, last week, I wanted people to call in about technology, some technology fears. So let's start right there.
What's up, Theo? This is Aaron from Kentucky.
Ooh,
Really
Kentucky.
enjoyed the podcast lately, man. It's just great to hear somebody so open and honest about their experiences.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Onward.
I wanted to just address some of the concerns you expressed on the last podcast about, the future of technology and stuff. I've kind of felt like you a while back. I was pretty freaked out by the way and direction things were going, especially with self-driving cars, like you expressed. But the fact of the matter is, man,
I did. And last week I expressed some concerns about technology. Like, at what point is it not good for us anymore? Like, we're people. Like, at some point, like, what if an enemy came in and just kept attacking us so that we couldn't use our brains, and then we didn't use our legs, and then we would, if in any other facet, that's considered a disease. Like, if somebody, it's considered an infection, but just because it's technology, it's considered advancement. And that's where some of my hang up is. I'm not anti-technology. I'm communicating to you guys right now over technology. We're interacting with each other over technology. But I am worried. Anyway, let's continue on with his question here, Aaron.
technology is just going to keep proceeding and getting better and better, and hopefully help our lives. Anyways, back to the self-driving cars. I mean, millions of people die every year from car accidents.
Wait, millions of people? I have a tough time believing that. I would have Sherb look that up for us, but I don't. We don't have any interactive capabilities here yet. I don't think millions of people die every year from car accidents. I could imagine a million, but I would be tough to think that millions. Just because a lot of people don't have cars. But anyway, onward.
3 or 4 accidents from the self-driving cars. So, I mean, that's terrible, that those people passed away. But you think about the lives saved from that, and that's just amazing. That's just one example. But
yeah, I'm going to say this. I'm going to interrupt you there, Aaron. I'm going to say this about the self-driving car. I think it's bullshit. I'm not saying it's not capable. I don't think we're going to get there. I don't think in my lifetime we will. Now, in my children's lifetime, which I don't even have any children, so in someone's lifetime, potentially if I meet a woman that we're going to have children, yes. Then yes, I think it could happen then. But they couldn't even make a skateboard. There was, I don't know how old you are, Aaron, but there was a rumor when I was young. They had the movie Back to the Future. 1, 2, or 3 came out. And they had a skateboard that skated for you. You didn't have to do anything. It was air powered. That's never happened. Okay? Maybe there's a video of it happening somewhere. They had the shit thing that Justin Bieber, the single roller skate that he was on, and that thing was a piece of shit. Mike Tyson almost killed himself on one of them, and somebody else almost burned down an airplane on one. They can't even make that. That's just a fucking electric roller skate. So, everybody's talking about the self-driving car. I don't see it. I don't see it because we could have it now, and we don't have it. We don't have the self-driving car, like we can't even get to the skateboard we were promised. So I just don't really see us getting that level of actually having think of all the infrastructure that have to be adjusted and created. Okay, so you have a self-driving car, but then you have somebody that still wants to use a gas-powered car. How's that going to work? I just don't see it working. I honestly don't see it coming to fruition in my lifetime. I'm not saying that I'm against it. I just don't see it coming to fruition. Anyway, onward.
I guess the idea I wanted to express was that technology is just the type of science that's propelling us forward right now. We've always had industry and medicine and different parts of science that have progressed, exponentially fast. And currently the technology is just kind of pulling us in that direction.
It's a good point. That's a good point. Sometimes I think of it as, that it's never going to end, but I guess we're just at a time when it seems to be the hot thing. Like the Industrial Revolution occurred. And at the time, people were like, steel is it. Can you believe steel? And now It's just tech. It's tech. It's tech. So yeah.
And so if we can figure out how to use it right and just not waste all of our time on, stupid apps and stuff like that, and, give back to the people that do end up losing their jobs from stuff like self-driving cars, hopefully some kind of universal incomes or something like that.
And I'll stop you right there. And I appreciate your call, Aaron. I appreciate you calling in. And I appreciate you addressing what was a concern of mine. You taking it upon yourself to recognize that was something I was concerned with. Yeah, like that's another thing. Like, yes, technology, sure, okay. Advancement, robotics, where it takes away people's jobs. Now that's alarming, because then you just have a man who suddenly feels useless. And that's one of the biggest concerns for me is I just don't want to feel useless as a human being. Like at some point, it would be great to just make it so we all have jobs. I don't need a fucking robot doing something. I don't get anything out of that, Like I'm I guess I'm old fashioned, Like I feel like we're at a good place now. We're at a good place now. We can do all kinds of amazing stuff, I would love to see medicine advance more. But when it comes to the part where we're taking away people's jobs, I just don't see the value in it. And my buddy the other day is like, well, everybody's going to drive Uber. But what? You're going to have Uber drivers just pulling guns on each other, saying, get him, trying to get passengers. It's going to be like two Uber drivers pulling guns, being like, get in my fucking car. No, get in my fucking car, to try and make money. I just don't see the end game. I don't see how it ends well for humans. Because we're the ones that are living. Like, why take away some of the joys are going to work, feeling useful, especially for men. Like, I feel like a lot of technology is just killing the spirit of men. They got these robot dicks out there. And I mean, I know they've always had, dildos and electric, clitoral, wands, but now they have, I saw something the other day. It hooks onto the wall and it has like a crank or something, and it just fucks whoever wants it. I just don't see the value. At a certain point, I don't feel the value, I mean, how far do we go? I mean, if you want to make something that's going to help people, make something that's fun. I can see that, make mittens that put themselves on you. How about that, huh? Or like a shirt that climbs up your body when you get up in the morning and puts itself on you. That'd be cool. Snaps all go together, What about, or if you could train your dick, make something that can, communicate with skin cells, and it could train your dick to come out of your pants and urinate and then go back into your pants. So you could still, look at your phone or something while you're at the urinal, What about making our hair harder? How about that? I'd love to see athletes that don't have to wear helmets. Stupid helmets, you can't even see a lot of the athletes' facial expressions. So how about that? How about making something that makes our hair harder so that football players can play football and just wear their hair? Grow their eyebrows out or grow out a beard to really get the full helmet feeling, I don't know. Make our dicks harder. What about that? Make our dicks way harder so people could fight with their dicks if they needed to, or, get into something, open up a door. You got locked out, get in there, or sharpen your, I don't fucking know, dude. But those are some things where technology, I see the value. In other ways, I don't see the value, because at a certain point, by advancing technology, we're making ourselves as humans feel useless. And that is the line where I don't see the value. But to go back to Aaron, the caller's point, or the caller's inquiry, and some of his overall thoughts, we would need to have some sort of compensation. Like if if a technology comes along that takes away truckers, the jobs of truckers, then you need to give something to those truckers so that there is compensation there, or create a tertiary job that, okay, is safer. So it'd be less accidents, less falling asleep at the wheel. I mean, truckers are doing gnarly shit out there anyway. I mean, let's be honest about that. I saw a man one time had a damn chessboard set up on his trucker, on his dashboard up there. This dude's doing chess, okay? A British game doing British games. And, and that was alarming. Because first of all, how the fuck is a trucker playing chess, to be honest with you? No offense if you're a trucker, but they're more checkers guys. They're checkers type of men. And to think this man was doing that and operating this big rig was alarming. But anyhow, yes, if we're going to advance, then we need to have some sort of system in place that subsidizes these people that lose their jobs, and create some sort of a tertiary work environment where they can still feel contributing and useful. Because when a man doesn't feel useful, that's when the man can really get into some deviant activities and can get caught up in the dark arts. And that's true right there. All right, let's move on to another question here. Let me see what we got. We got let me see.
Hey Theo, my name's Josh. I am 24 from Cincinnati.
We got Josh, 24 from Cincinnati. That's chili country. They have chili there. They're famous for chili. And they have two types of chili that are popular. One of them is disgusting. I've had that one. Onward.
Just to start, I want to say that I listen to a few podcasts, and yours is by far the most right now that I'll look forward to.
Okay, that's good, buddy. Okay, that's good. Let's go.
And anyway, I'm calling in because for quite a few years now, I've been interested in stand-up comedy. And for about the last year, over a year, I've written some bits.
Okay, this is Josh. He's interested in stand-up comedy, and he has written some bits. That's where we are. Onward, Josh.
I'm planning to go up on stage, but just has never gone up. So I'm hoping maybe you can be my tipping point, and maybe I just think I'll have a good time with it, and I'll enjoy it.
Okay. I'm going to interrupt you there, Josh. I appreciate you calling, man. It seems like you want to know if you should do stand-up comedy. You've been thinking about it. And I've gotten a couple calls about this. And for one, I'm going to let you know, even just from that call, you got to project a little bit better, or at least speak clearer. I don't know if you were calling from a can. It sounded like you could have been calling one of those cans that children plug in through a piece of yarn to another can. I don't know what you were calling from, and I'm sorry to be mean, but I mean, if you're going to call, try and communicate. We're trying to communicate here. That's the number one thing we're doing, and I need you to do that if you call in. But here's the thing, Josh. I mean, it sounds like there's two reasons I think why you wouldn't do it. Either you're lazy, and I'm not accusing you, but I'm saying that that's one of the things. And I say that because I've been lazy. I can relate. There's things, there's not a week that goes by that I ask myself why I haven't published a book. I've thought about doing that for years. I've written tons, but can't get it together. I get lazy, or I get caught up in my own depression and also lazy, or I just don't get it together. But if you're lazy, man, you got to, do something. Get up, get going. You're young. I think you said you're 23 or something. Join the army, dude. Date a black man. Do something that's going to get you, on your toes. Even if you're straight, get out there and date a brother. Date a black man. That will fucking probably keep you on your toes, dude. Because being lazy is an infection. That's one thing that I find in my life. It's an infection, man, and you have to battle against it. you have to battle against it, whether it means just setting an alarm and getting up. You know, you do something for 3 days in the morning, you'll start to slowly develop a pattern. That's what I find for me. But the other reason you haven't done it is that you're scared. The lazy thing I can't really help you with. You know, that's a personal battle, I feel like. But if you're scared, that's something that I feel like I can help you with. And I'm happy that you reached out about that, you know. I'll say this. Doing stand-up, it's easier than you think. You're obviously already considering it. You know, you're calling about it. You're curious. You just have to get up there. And here are a couple of cheats that I would use, dude. For one, if you're going to try stand-up comedy, here's a couple ideas. Tell a story. Tell a story that you already know in your life. That way it's less pressure than a joke. A joke, you're like, you tell it and you're waiting for that reaction. A story, you tell a story. And there could be moments along it where they laugh or moments along it where they just listen. As long as you get to the end of the story, then you have at least served a purpose. You know, you've at least told a story and they've at least heard a story. So there's some exchange there. And then you can go back and listen, if you record your set, to moments where if they did laugh, and you can start to mine those moments and add more jokes in there or expound more in those moments. And then the next time you tell it, you'll have a little bit of a different story or a bigger story. And you'll have a couple of places there where you know laughter can occur, and just keep repeating that. Another option, tell some jokes that aren't yours. We live in a day and age where if it doesn't even seem to matter if you tell jokes that aren't yours anymore. Plagiarism seems to be okay as long as you are, you know, already popular, you know. So you can always just tell some jokes that aren't yours and do that. I mean, you could do Amy. I mean, Amy Schumer always gets accused of it, and she's a friend of mine. But it would be funny almost to do Amy Schumer's set. Get up on stage and just try it. Or, it'd be funny, right? Try Amy Schumer's set. Just try it. Or get on stage and try any comedian's set. Just because you're obviously just practicing. You're trying to get a feel for a stage. So a great cheat, and a great, and I don't mean like, I just mean in like a way like, you know, to learn. A great way to learn is to take jokes that already work and just say, then you're practicing in front of a crowd. You're doing stand-up comedy. You're trying stand-up comedy, you know. And I just use Amy Schumer because she gets accused a lot. Carlos Mencia is always accused. I don't know who else has been recently accused. Melania Trump, that seemed kind of plagiarized. But then I feel like most of every presidential speech, most of it's all has sounded the same to me throughout my lifetime, a bunch of racket. Anyhow, man, if that's it, those are some options that can help you to maybe try stand-up comedy. All right, onward. I appreciate it. Let's get into something else here, man. Let's get into another call here.
Theo, what's going on, you little Gemini jester? This is John Doe calling from a undisclosed location due to the subject matter of what I want to call you about, but...
Oh, this ought to be good. John Doe calling from an undisclosed location. Onward, John.
Listen, Theo, I got a good idea to help keep myself accountable. So basically, I've been struggling with painkiller and heroin addiction for like...
Ooh, sounded like he had one caught in his throat right there, huh? Onward.
2 years now. And I'm 23 years old, and I'm really just sick of it. And I do quite well. I make it 2-3 weeks at a time, and end up using a day, and then I'll make it another 2-3 weeks. So it's just this never-ending cycle because...
Yeah, it sounds like, you use the word cycle right there. It sounds like a cycle, and that's the point whenever I was partying that I noticed for me it wasn't healthy, And I'm going again to the statement that, look, if you're out there partying, I'm not telling you not to party. I don't care if you're fucking, you got two hookers at the bottom of a wishing well right now and y'all are doing, little 8-ball bumps off of each other's bung holes. That's fine. That's activity. But what I'm saying is, if you are creating a bad habit or a bad cycle, then that's when, for me, I got nervous. Let's keep listening to John Doe here and his deal. It sounds like he wants to keep him accountable.
Because I've never really gotten bad enough that I need to tell my family and everybody, so no one knows. So it's all secretive, and I can't really tell anybody hey, try to keep me accountable if I do screw up. No one even knows. So I'm thinking I want to start calling you every week. I'll call you every week, every Sunday night, and I'll leave you a message about how I'm doing. I think that it could be beneficial for me because I really look up to you as a...
Well, I heard him say he looks up to me, and I appreciate that, Steve. Sorry. I almost called him Steven, dude. Which is interesting because this is kind of like a little bit how, the conversation ended with Steven. I wanted him to come back in. I want him to be well. And then here is this gentleman, John Doe, saying that he's had a bad cycle that he's noticed in his own life. Well, I'm saying this, John, if you notice, you're saying to me, you're 23. For 3 years, you've been on and off using, it sounds like opiates and pain pills to me. You mentioned heroin, which I don't see how you would survive so well doing heroin, but I've never been involved with heroin. But you don't tell your friends, you're not asking them to keep you accountable because nobody knows, or your family. But you are reaching out to a stranger, which I appreciate, man. I appreciate you reaching out. This is a safe place to reach out for sure. It's why, as weird as it is that this is out in the world, I consider it a safe place to reach out to people, to share. Because I get some neat interaction by people calling in, and I've got a lot of great voicemails from people just being encouraging and sharing advice with me. But it sounds like you're looking for someone to keep you accountable, and what that's called really is a sponsor, man. It's a sponsor, and you'll get that by going into an AA or some type of a program. A sponsor will keep you accountable. So onward.
Just as a person, and I really appreciate the advice you get, and I think that if, I know that there's someone out there who's going to care that I did, make it another week, and I did the right. I think that could really help me. Talk to you next week. So far this week, I've been a different week, man.
Okay, I kind of trailed off. Hopefully you didn't catch a bad gram there at the end. But I'll say this, bro. It sounds like you might need a sponsor if you're starting to worry about accountability. And that could be a real thing. I'm happy for you to call. If it's, I'd love for you to call in and leave us a voicemail. I can't promise you that I'm gonna put it on the air. That I'm gonna make it a part of this past weekend. I can promise you that I'll listen. I can promise you that. I care. That I want you to get better. But I also, I can't be a real sponsor. I could sponsor you, but I can't be a real sponsor like this, in this type of engagement. But yeah, if you want to call in, man, John Doe from an undisclosed location, and let us know how you're doing from time to time. If you can be candid and realistic about what's going on and share stuff that's real, I'll try and keep some of our listeners updated. If it fits, man, if it feels real. But I wish you the best of luck, man. And if you start to really get worried even more, then I'd look into maybe an AA or some type of a program. Let's get to another question. Now, I want to say this. Let's get to one more really quick.
What's up, Theo? Hey, man, I was really super impressed with your vocabulary. You seem to just pull these extremely, out of left field words out of your pocket all the time, and it just impresses me. Do you read books? Where do you get this extreme vocabulary? Thanks, buddy. Love you.
I always liked words, man. I always liked words and sounds. And I appreciate you saying that, though, that I have a nice vocabulary. I actually want to go back to school sometime to really get into writing and words. And a friend of mine that died, he choked to death. He was on opiates, and he choked to death on a piece of chicken over there in Woodville, Mississippi. But he got me a rhyming dictionary when I used to work on his farm, and I really have always treasured that book. And I always like sounds, and I don't know, my brain just kind of surprises me sometimes with words, and I like words, and I appreciate you at least, thinking that I had some sort of a flair for the oral vernacular, brother. All right, let's get to one more call here. Now, I had a lot of people call in about missing persons. I had some good ones. And what I want to do this week, I'm going to try to, I know I've said things before, I'm trying to do them. We're coming along. We're in an amazing new spot this week by the grace of a higher power and by Sherb and by Conscious Studios over here in Santa Monica. I want to get into this missing persons thing more. Because I told you guys that a boy when I was young was playing hide and go seek, and he went and hid, and then he might have just went off and hid away from everybody forever. We had some people calling a good deal of calls about missing persons, and so I want to get to one of them, and then we'll try and get to the rest of them, maybe in a tertiary segment later on this week. We'll put out a little bit of a surprise episode. I'm going to try to do it because I had a couple of calls about them, and I really wanted to talk more about the missing. And if you are also a missing person, or if you have been, or have dated someone that's missing, or knew somebody and you can't find them, you can call about that and leave that on the hotline. I'll give that hotline number one more time right here. That number is 985-664-9503. Also, if you are missing, if you are somebody that's missing, you can call. If you want to leave a message to your loved ones and just let them know that you're okay, and we'll try to put that on the show as well. We're going to get to one of them right here, though, right now. Here we go. This is
Hey, Theo.
Atlanta.
So this week you asked listeners to call in about a missing person, and that's ironic because I'm about to become a missing person. So to provide you with some context.
Please do, brother. This guy's threatening to become a missing person, pretty much.
So I'm a son of two immigrant parents.
Okay.
And
he's son of a couple of grunts.
Quality that runs rampant among immigrant parents is narcissism and a bit of a controlling behavior. And they really try to...
That's pretty true. I think my friend Fahim he might be a first, second, or first generation. I don't know what it's called, but he said his parents have a lot of expectations. Onward.
And they really try to impose their goals on you. And that's really what I'm trying to run away from. So my parents want me to be in college, but I'm absolutely miserable in college.
Wow. And I almost feel like this is a joke at first, but then I feel like in this guy's voice you can hear some reality,
I'm looking to run away from home and kind of follow my goals in life rather than theirs.
Wow. It's interesting. I didn't have that personally. I didn't have that, I didn't have anybody really saying. I had a friend of mine's dad that said I should go to college, but other than that, I didn't have that pressure. So I can't imagine what that pressure would be like. And then to feel like you're literally going to run away from it.
So,
wow.
I'm going to be running away, I guess, or be a missing person.
This kid may have indigestion. That's the thing. I can't tell a little bit if he's being real and he's faking a voice, or if he might have a little bit of indigestion. Could have had chicken parm. Gives me that. Onward.
By next Monday, and all I really have to my name is $20 and a Greyhound ticket.
Oh man. Hold on. Let's keep. Well, Greyhound. I used to ride Greyhound, man. It's a lot of men on there trying to show you their dick. A lot of people got out of prison. Some light cocaine on there. I mean, hell, some man cut another man's head off of on a Greyhound bus, or it could have been Peter Pan lines, but I think they're all coagulated, but did that to him up in upstate New York. So there's a lot of seedy A lot of people, just riding around trying to collect fucking abortion money, I feel like, on those buses. But anyway, onward.
And really, that doesn't really worry me because I'm pretty optimistic about what the future holds for me.
Okay, you're optimistic about what the future holds. Well, college can be, I wish you could take away seeing college as something your parents are pressuring you into doing and try to, reframe it so it's something that you can actually enjoy. Because if you have if you feel confident in your abilities, then there should be an ability that you can maneuver or use in a college on a college template that you can actually, find some joy, your own joy, onward.
And I know I could make something of myself if I work hard. So just letting you know about my soon-to-be missing person story. Thank you, and big-time fan of the podcast.
Wow, to think, that guy's going to be a missing person. Jesus, man. That's crazy. I love missing people, man. I've always loved missing people. I just felt missing for so long in my life. I just felt missing. Well, look, brother, this call was 6 days ago. So this boy could potentially be out there and be missing now. If that's the case, man, I do hope that you will call and check in. That seems to be a theme this episode. I hope you'll call in and check in and let us know what you're doing out there. And at least let your parents know, I guess, that you're okay. I don't know. I've never been a parent, but I can only imagine what it feels like to not be in touch with your child. And that seems very alarming to me. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. But I don't know what to say, man. Good luck. Good luck being missing. And good luck. I don't know. I don't know how you hide better. I know use cash. That's what they say. I do encourage you to chase your dreams. I wish that you could figure out that issue with your parents so that didn't have to affect you to the point where you feel like you had to run away. But maybe that's so intense. I just hope you take care of yourself. $20 in a Greyhound. That's ill-advised, man. I don't know who's advising you. If you're getting it, or if you're getting any advice at all. You might want to check in with somebody that can, you might want to check in with some other people. Because for me, my vote is no on that. If this was, what's that show where Howie Mandel and Mel B are on there? I don't know. But if this were my vote, I'd say Ixnay on the Eving on a us bay. Eving lay on a us bay, yeah. Don't leave on a bus, bro. Bad idea. Greyhound, never a good idea, dude. Never. I'm going to say that. And I've been known to troll the Greyhound bus help Twitter feed. Never a good idea. But anyway, I'm going to try to make a more of an episode that's just about the missing persons. I want to get into that. I want to, I want to get into that, and I want to answer more of those calls. But we've just done too much tonight. But I say tonight, man, I don't know if some of you guys have a higher power. You don't have to. But, lift some of these guys up in your thoughts. Just take a moment and think about what some of these other people out in the world are going through. We had Steven in here tonight. And, he's been through some, oh, shit, hold on. Oh, man. God, that second one had a woman in it. It seemed like it had a little Asian in it, that third one. But yeah, keep some of these guys in your thoughts that are going through some stuff. And I appreciate you guys being here with me. Check out the album 30 Pound Bag of Hamster Bones. Shit, I feel bad even, pitching my own wares at this point. But God bless you guys, or whatever higher power take care of you. And take care of yourselves, man. Be good to yourselves. We're not going to go with any outro music this week. I just had too much to put together, man. Just a lot of moving parts and Conscious Studios and Sherb helping us put it together over here. My buddy Adam, I was texting with earlier, helped me come up with some production ideas, and just grateful, man. A lot of gratitude from here. Thank you guys for supporting the podcast. We got to 6,000 subscribers on YouTube, and that's awesome, man. And people just calling and leaving cool messages, and just like share this, man. If you think, we're trying to put up little pieces on YouTube of, people sharing and just opening up their stories, and me trying to share my experiences in return. And if you find one of those resonates with a friend of yours, send it to him, man. Just drop him a text or something, because the more that we all share our shit, dude, the cleaner our asses get. That's what I believe. The more we share our shit, the cleaner our asses get. Take care of yourselves, man. Be good to yourselves. Why don't you try that? Take care. What's up, you beautiful little lavender sunburnt tit gypsies, huh? You guys ready for that yum yum off that pump, huh? Maybe I identify as a lesbian, bruh. You ever thought about that? Huh? Maybe I got that gender neutral hairdo, bruh. Because you don't know who I am, alright? You don't know who I am. But you about to find out. Welcome to This Past Weekend. This Past Weekend. All right, guys, welcome to This Past Weekend. The date is Monday, May 8th, 2017. A beautiful year, I think, so far for most people. I am coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. And it is the city that never seeps. That's what I call it. It's dry country out here. So if you don't hear a lot of moisture coming through me, that's not my fault. That's really it's the elements affecting me. I used to live actually in Tucson, Arizona. A lot of people don't know that. Or maybe you do know that. I don't know. I'm judging. But I used to live in Tucson, Arizona, and that's not what I consider shirt sleeve country. You won't see a lot of shirt sleeves down there. You see a lot of turquoise, a lot of women and men collecting turquoise and lying about their past. A lot of people go there to lie about their past, I feel like. And that's Tucson, Arizona. And I used to go to a high school out there even for a semester. It's a long story, but I moved back in with my mother after I got emancipated, and I moved out there to Tucson, Arizona. And I used to go to a school that was predominantly Latino. And a lot of the children, the niños, they would fight each other in the afternoon in an abandoned car wash across the street from the school, and that was Santa Rita High School. And I would try to learn and be scared. That's mostly what I did when I attended school there. But anyhow, man, I'm out here in the desert. I had a great time this weekend at Stand Up Live. I want to thank everybody who came out. We had a good turnout. But it is dry country out here. Your skin will get chapped. You'll see people ducking off in the alleys and, putting lotion on themselves and Vaseline in each other's necks and, almost, I don't want to say licking each other's necks, but you see some, activities that'll create extra moisture. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a man jerking off onto his hands or, jerking off onto somebody else. Not even for sexual reasons, but more for like grapes of wrathy type of necessity, I remember getting a blowjob out here in the desert one time, getting a little bit of some oral pleasure, and it was like feeding a piece of wood to an old snake, feeding a piece of craftsman's wood or something, piece of dry wood to an old snake. It was, not good blowjobs out here because this country isn't built for it. This country is more for, letting things get bleached by the sun. It's more for skin cancer and, fancy people. I feel like you also have a lot of wealthy people out here who can buy a lot of land and they have like an estate and, hiding hookers in their houses and being naughty and being nasty. But I've had a nice time here, and I want to thank everybody that came out to Stand Up Live in Phoenix. It was a pretty good weekend, man. I was staying in a beautiful hotel here downtown. Chris Rock was staying in the same hotel as me. He was performing here on Saturday night. So, I even got texts from a lot of my friends who were coming and saying they couldn't come, that they were going to see Chris Rock. And, it hurts your feelings a little bit just because you want people to come out to the show. So I felt a little bit, I felt less than. Of course, ridiculous feelings because this man is a star. This man is a superstar. And I think he's one of my favorite comedians. Just so smart. Amazing jokes. I got to hear him practicing some of his jokes at the Comedy Store recently, talking about his infidelities. He talking about cheating on his wife and who he cheated with and stuff like that, and being very candid, and I appreciate that. But we still had a lot of fans that came out, a lot of friends that came out, and made me feel pretty good. Outside of that, dude, honestly, I got a little bit depressed, bro. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I think just a lot of traveling week after week, being out running around. I've fallen off my program in the past week. I'm staying sober and stuff, but I haven't been going to as many meetings. I haven't been reaching out to others that I know could probably use a call here and there. I try to keep, about 3 calls on my list every day of things to do, of just checking in with a friend. Checking in with somebody who maybe mentioned a problem or mentioned something that's going on, or somebody who's having, just somebody, a human. Because I find that I can get very inhumane, caught up in, dancing around with these electronics and trying to be a human superhero on different social media sites, and just, get caught up in my own world and get caught up bathing my ego. It's amazing how much time we spend bathing our egos. I do anyway. So I don't know. I just fell out, man. And yesterday I was pretty depressed. I laid in bed a lot. I ate a whole thing of Snickers, dude. I ate an entire thing of those little baby Snickers. And there's something, I won't eat a big Snicker. I won't eat a big Snicker. And I don't know if I'm a pussy, or if I'm just being like a candy bitch or some kind of little sugar pussy, but I will only eat the little ones, the baby ones. And I don't know what that means about me. I don't know if I want to be a predator, I don't know if it means that I feel like a damn sugar pedophile, really, because I won't eat the big ones. I won't do it. And I don't know what that means. I think I need to look into that, or probably speak to someone about that, a therapist or someone who's in the culinary world. But I bought a bag of the little baby ones, man, and I ate them all. I wouldn't let the cleaning lady in. I didn't want her to see the wrappers. So that was some of my shame that I'm sharing with you. I got bummed out. I watched specials on YouTube about missing children. I tend to do that sometimes. I don't know why. When I get at my low, at my sober lows, I'm watching specials about missing children on YouTube, and I'm eating baby Snickers, as many as I can eat. So that's kind of, I guess, what went on with me. And I don't know why I felt bad. I couldn't really put my finger on it. I tried to fight it some. When I was feeling low, I went for a workout, and that helped some. I did a little bit of prayer, just speaking to like a higher power, trying to get out of myself. I believe in prayer. And it doesn't have to be to God or to Jesus Christ or to, Allah or, Jewish God or to, whatever, black God or, black Santa or whatever people are praying to. It can be whatever. But I believe in taking some of the pressure of the world off myself and asking for help, even if it's to a spirit, to a being, to a higher power, to whoever your God can be. I believe in that. I believe it, man, because the weight of the world is heavy. The weight of the world is heavy. So I got a little bummed out, man. I got caught up. Just, I wanted to sleep. I would sleep and set my alarm for about 20 minutes and hope that whenever I woke up, I would feel better. And that never works. A lot of times you got to really take action, get moving. And I didn't do that. I could have done a better job. So that was just some of my weekend, man. Sometimes you have those days, and I don't know. Sometimes I can't tell when they're coming on when you just don't feel good, And the bummer is that, I call some of my friends. I called a friend and you could hear he was spending time with his family and stuff. And I wanted to kind of vent some of my feelings, but I got embarrassed, I guess. I didn't want to ruin his good time by sharing the fact that I wasn't feeling super keen. I wasn't Superman, and I was Clark Kent. And anyhow, I'm not trying to down you with my feelings, but those are some feelings that I had. We got some good calls that came in over the past 2 weeks. Really, a lot of people talking about the future, and I know we touched on it a little bit last week. We also touched on missing persons. We had a special episode in between. And I'll get into the future a little more. I want to talk about that more next week, a little bit about the future. So if you're thinking about hitting the hotline, we're not moving on yet in the program. I'm just letting you know, if you're thinking about hitting the hotline, that number is 985-664-9503. And I want to know what some of your concerns are, again, about the future. I want to talk about that a little bit more. Because some people, were like, well, the automated car already exists. And I know it already exists. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying the ability to implement those things successfully into the universe that we already have functioning here, I think is extremely far-fetched. I think it's a lot tougher than we think. I mean, for example, the CVS self-checkout. Dude, I was ready to beat the fuck balls. Dude, I'll beat the damn eyelashes off of some, little guy. Trying to buy a Gatorade. I'm trying to get an orange Gatorade, to boost my spirits. And they got 5 self-checkout things. And this little guy, and it wouldn't let me check out, and then it thinks I'm stealing, and the bag is in the wrong place, and I didn't pay for a bag, and I'd already bought some stuff at the other register, so now I'm at the different register because there's 2 entrances to the store, and I'm trying to get a Gatorade, and this guy's giving me a hard time, and and finally I said, you know what, dude? Fuck it, bruh. I'll drink water. I'll drink damn tap water and try to imagine different flavors while I'm swallowing it, because the self-checkout shit doesn't work well. And people are angry, and then there's some guy and he just swipes his little thing on the damn, and it beeps, and then everything's supposed to be okay. It wasn't okay. So I don't know if we can't get that to work. I don't know how we're going to get some of this other fancy shit that everybody wants. I don't know. I don't mean to be fired up. I'm just queefing in my damn brain. I feel like I don't know, man. It was just a long one. It was a long one. And when I get to feeling depressed, things stack up fast, It could just be a little thing, and then it's suddenly I'm not that good. I'm not a good person, or I don't try hard enough, and then, Chris Rock's across the street, and so then it's like, I'm unsuccessful, and those things start to add up. And then it's like, I'm, working on the road and I'm by myself, and, the next thing you know, I'm doing masturbation. Just masturbating out of shame, really, or out of I don't know. I don't know. Just caught up. and just kind of wallowing like a pig, but my mud is inaction. That's what it is, really. It's my thoughts. Because when I think, things don't go well. When I act, things go well. 100% of the time, man. 100% of the time. When I decided to get up and actually go to the gym, run, anything, go downstairs, get a coffee. Then I started, it creates movement, it creates blood flow, anything's possible then, and things got better. But I got caught up, man. I got caught up in my own circumstances, and I was just jerking off and just eating damn little baby Snickers and watching specials on missing children. And I wasn't doing those things. I wasn't, obviously doing any self-pleasure to any of the missing children. I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't have any interest, or that is not part of my makeup, being a pedophile or having any of that in me. I've babysat overnight. I've babysat overnight numerous times. And I have 5 beautiful nieces and nephews that I love solely as family members and as beautiful children that I hope to make their futures as bright as I can. So anyhow, I don't know why I'm saying all that. I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. But I will say this. It is 1:15 a.m. here in Phoenix time. I believe that's Pacific Standard. Arizona is one of the few states that doesn't change their time. So when you set your clocks forward or backward, Arizona doesn't. They stand their ground. And I respect that. I've always respected that about Arizona. I've always respected that. They got some cool shit here in Arizona, man. If you want to get out and about, they got some cool shit here in Arizona. We also had people commenting and emailing about Steven, the guest that we had come in last week. I was happy to have Steven in. When I met him at the DMV, he was in more joyous spirits. It seemed like he had just a built-in pogo stick and that his feelings were alive inside of him. Now, when he showed up the other night for the podcast, he seemed like he may have been under, he may have been coming down off of some uppers or some sidewinders or something. It seemed like he'd been dabbling in some things, some spirit murkers. And it seemed like he was coming in a little murky. And so it was hard. It was tough to conversate. He came in late. I only had so much time in the studio. But we did what we could, and we want him to come back in. Next week, I hope to be back in Conscious Studios next week, or in a studio. Right now I'm in a hotel room at the Palomar Hotel here in downtown Phoenix. Beautiful place. But next week I hope to have a guest too. I got an exciting, hopeful guest, a wigger, an adult wigger. Or wigger, sorry, and I'm not trying to be offensive, but I feel like that's our word. And that's, a man that's aged, but who has dealt with, had that affinity that most white people have, I feel like, the desire to be black, the desire to be African American, and some people really practice it heavily. I was part of that group. I was in a group called NFL when I was young, and Niggas for Life, that was the club, and I was a part of it, and we did that when we were in junior high school. And I used to drive a lot of the brothers, my friends, over to school on my bike. I had a bicycle, and they would all gang up and get on the bike, and I would drive pedalless. I was a conduit, really, to get a lot of young brothers over to the educational center there on Jefferson Avenue in Covington, Louisiana. But I know an adult wigger, one of the oldest ones that I know, and I'm hoping to have him in studio. Now, that's my hopes. I don't know if that's going to transpire, but I'm very hopeful. So hopefully you guys will tune in next week to that. We got some great calls that came in, man. We got somebody considering shooting up their workplace, somebody discussing the fear of missing out, and another job issue. Somebody else talking job issues. So we're going to talk about jobs. But also, if you guys hit the hotline, in addition to, worries or queries about the future, I'm also, I want to know the first time you ever touched some crotch, if any of you guys have, had that experience. And I know some men don't do crotch, and female crotch, or it could be male, actually. It could be male or female crotch. So I want to know that first time you ever did that. I don't need you to get extremely graphic. I don't want that. But I do want to know your feelings. Some of the feelings you had. What did your friends think? What were some of those? What went on there? Because that's a really interesting time for a young man, or a young man when that occurs. And it can even be a woman if they got a women out there that want to call in, some beautiful ladies that want to call in and just let us know kind of maybe about some of that experience. Just because it's, that's a unique time in somebody's life when they first really get that external crotch experience, when they're not, just doing self-pleasure or just kind of digitaling their own crotch, their own bits. So hopefully I want to hear a little bit about that too, if some people are willing to share. You can share your experience. I just don't need you to be graphic. We're not trying to be perverts. We're not trying to be nasty. But I do want to share, and I do want to know, and I'll share some of my experiences, because those are important times and unique times in our sexuality. So I want to discuss that. I'm going to drop a few dates on you really quick. I also want to tell you, if you want to support the podcast, you can just be supportive. Go to theovon.com/store, STORE. You can cop one of the t-shirts. We got some neat shirts on there. I think I'm going to maybe get one that says Keep Calm and Theo Von. Somebody recommended that idea. It's kind of a played out idea, but it's something that I'm considering. Just to keep the podcast in business, you can support the album, 30-Pound Bag of Hamster Bones. It's available on iTunes right now. And then you can subscribe. Only about half of our viewers are actually subscribed. So if you just want to hit the subscribe button, and just continue to be a part of what we're trying to do here, which I don't always know what it is, but I do appreciate you guys being here and listening to me and calling in, because this gives me an opportunity sometimes to get in touch with who I am and to look back at my week or weekend and find some of the joys and find some of the pitfalls. So thank you very much for that. I'll be in Tampa Bay at the Side Splitters Comedy Club. That's May 25th through 28th. Okay, May 20th. We got a show down in Orange County. That's at the Hardcore Fitness Studio, and that's in Lake Forest, California. And those tickets will go on sale online on my website tomorrow, on Monday or Tuesday. And that's May 20th, the Hardcore Fitness Studio. It's a new show that goes on down there, and I heard it's really great. So I'm excited to go down there and do that in Lake Forest, California. Again, I'll be in Tampa, Florida, and that is June 25th. No, that is May 25th through 28th. I'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, June 1st through 4th. I'll be at the Calusa Casino, and that is June 9th. It's somewhere in California. June 23rd and 24th, I'll be at Gotham in New York City. New York City, New York. They call it the same thing, just to piss you off, really. But that's New York City, New York, same place, and that's in the city. And then Wyoming, Illinois, we're doing a special fundraiser show. If you're wondering where is that, it's a small town, 1,500 people, beautiful little town. My mother was raised there, and she had her dad had a lot of issues over there, and she was a single child. But a beautiful little town. We're raising money there to save a theater that's there in town. It's near Peoria. It's near Kewanee. It's about maybe an hour from the Quad Cities of Iowa. So you could come down, about 2 hours from Chicago. You could come down to Wyoming, Illinois, find you a bed and breakfast or hotel, and we're going to make it a fun night that night. 2 shows, 7 to 9 p.m. Those tickets are all available through theovon.com/store. All right, guys, let's jump into a couple calls here, because I know people have them, and I want to hear them. And let's get into them, man. And I'm sorry about telling you guys I was a little depressed. Had to open up this Diet Coke here because I got to catch a ride to the airport in about 4 hours. But sometimes I just, I don't know, man. I just want to be a happy adult, and sometimes I get scared that I'm not going to be. Sometimes I just really get scared that I'm not going to be. And I don't know, I just wish I didn't have those elements inside of me that made me fearful. I just wish my makeup was different. I just wish that, I don't know, sometimes I just wish that that I was different. All right, let's get into some calls here. We got a beautiful gentleman right here who's having some issues. I think I got an issue. This guy seems like he's going through some things. Let's listen to this guy.
Theo, this is Kyle. I'm from Tacoma, Washington.
Kyle in Tacoma, Washington. Thank you for calling, dude. Tacoma, very interesting city if you haven't been there. It's about 40 minutes from Seattle. It's very granola, but at the same time, a lot of cowboys there. So you can, have a mouthful of granola and raspberries, and then you can have a man or hardy lesbian come and really kick the shit out of you at the same time while you're trying to eat those things. I remember one time I got a rental car up near Tacoma. This is a true story. And it got dented. A lesbian kicked it at the bar we were at. She said it was her car. I said, no, it isn't. I got into the car. She still said it was hers. And so then she kicked it. I don't know if she realized it wasn't hers and just wanted to kick it, or she didn't like it. Maybe she hated vehicles. Maybe she, maybe, I don't know what could transpire with her. But we didn't have the money. We didn't get the insurance on the car, So to save money, I was over there doing comedy. Dude, we caught a pigeon, right? And tried to get this bird to shit. Try to hold it over the dents to get it to shit on the car so that they wouldn't see the dents when we turned the car in. And I don't know if you've tried to get a pigeon to shit, when you need it to. But it's very sporadic, and it's more of a, it's a little more, feels more like a scientific than you think. You think it's going to be easy. You're going to hold the pigeon, it's going to shit, cover the dents. You're going to, not have to deal with insurance issues when you turn in the rental car. But the pigeons, there's a lot of, I guess, nerves inside of them. They get nervous. There's not as much feces as you'd expect out of a pigeon, and it was a bigger issue than we had thought it was going to be. But anyhow, let's get back into Kyle from Tacoma, Washington. What's going on, Kyle?
I absolutely hate my job on a cellular level. I mean, it takes every bit of my being not to come into work with an AK-47 and kill everyone in there, or wake up in the morning and blow my fucking brains out across the wall.
All right. So Kyle having a tough time out there in Tacoma. Man, I'm going to stop right now. I'm just going to say, look, man, I appreciate you calling, Kyle. To shoot up work or to shoot yourself. I mean, oh, God, dude. I feel you. Dude. I used to work at a snow cone stand, and this guy would talk and repeat himself, and I almost wanted to kill him one time. And then and then I realized I can't do that, But I feel you. Thank you for calling. Let's continue forth.
Every single morning, I work for the government. I hate the people I work for. I have like 3 people in the whole building I work in I think are good people. The rest of them, I'd be happy if I woke up and I found out they were all dead. Honestly, Theo, what I want to know is I can't leave this organization for another year and a half.
Okay, so he's got to stay there for a while, and he's got these desires to kill and possibly to kill himself on a, at least on a level where he's voicing it. So, a lot of this could be hypothetical. It's a government job. I think that kind of stuff happens there. There was a rampant, string of people shooting up post offices a while, 15 years ago, and that was pretty hot. But let's continue.
Please, I don't care what it is. Please, man, I need some sort of advice on how to get through this. Because it's hard for me not to turn to drugs and alcohol every day.
Wow. I'm wondering, is it just work that's making you mad? What extracurricular activities do you have going on? sometimes you can get mad at something and and you get addicted to that anger, you know? Excuse me. I have a Diet Coke here, and most of it's made out of burps and caramel flavoring. That's all it is in the can, is wet burps and caramel flavoring that you pour in the, and then good bit of it comes back out. But you know, Kyle, if you have that much anger, it seems like you start to manifest the anger more because you dwell on it. You know, it's kind of like when I can't think of an analogy right now, man. My brain's a little tired. But if you get addicted to that feeling each day and to hating everybody, then you're going to stay there. You're going to stay there, dude. And you know something that works for me, man? I got some people that I work with that I fucking can't stand, bro. Can't stand them. And it used to drive me nuts. And you know what I do? You know what I do, dude? I pray for those people. And it's crazy because my father used to tell me, one of the only things he told me was to pray for your enemies. And I thought he was crazy. But I guarantee you this, dude. You pray for your enemies, whoever they are, the people you hate the most, the boss, whoever it is. Pray for them for 2 weeks straight. And you will be relieved of wherever you hate them, man. I think I've done this practice, and I believe it. Because you got to find a way to transpose that. Because you have to be there for a year and a half. I mean, your only other option is to shoot the place up. I mean, first of all, that's already been done. Honestly, shooting up a school, shooting up a government building. Kind of hack, bro. You know? I mean, it's not a safe idea, you know? And I've been that angry, dude. I've been that angry. I'll tell you, poor choice I made when I was in junior high school there at William Pitcher Junior High School, also off of Jefferson Avenue. And we had a science lab, and I got angry in there because everybody was cutting up some type of ducks or something. Some damn science thing we had to do where you're cutting up a duck and looking at its insides. And they gave me this fucking duck that was smaller than everybody else's duck. And I got pissed, dude. And I left the gas on in the room. Every little station had a thing where you could turn the gas on. And the room, it was on a Friday. So Monday, everybody comes back to school. The gas has been on all weekend. Just filling this room up. Now, had somebody used a little sparker thing in there, you know, one of those Bunsen burner igniters or whatever, those little flint steel clicker contraption things that makes a spark, whole room would have gone up, right? Some people accused me, and I actually accused a mentally handicapped child at our school. I'm not proud of that, but I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't want to be in trouble. But I'll tell you this, man, I was grateful that everybody didn't blow up. I was grateful, dude. So even though sometimes killing everybody seems like a great idea, you know, I'm going to say that it's probably not, bro. I'm going to say that I want you to at least come up with a couple of other ideas of ways you can solve the problem, you know? Because if you hate 30 people, dude, and they're probably a bunch of fucks, dude. They're probably a bunch of GIMP DNA fucking semen gypsies, bro. You know, and I know I'm angry tonight, okay? But they're probably a bunch of damn people that should be in a cult but don't have the bravery to do it. You know, so they work for the government. You know, and maybe that's who they are, maybe they're not. But you got to deal with it, because if you're angry at 30 people, bro, you might be part of the problem, Kyle. All right, let's finish your call.
Man, just let me know what's going on, man. Thank you.
Well, there you go, man. And I think I did let you know what's going on, man. And I felt bad. You know, I blamed this mentally challenged boy at our school, and you know, he was one of those boys. His mother made all his shirts. So even if you're not mentally challenged, you look damn mentally challenged when you have all, you know, shirts that your mother made. All of his shirts had all these religious quotes sewn into them and stuff. And I mean, it was bizarre. But I felt happy that that he didn't go to jail. He didn't do any time. He had some, definitely they, try to proceed with some pressing charges, but, that's neither here nor there. He's doing probably as well as he could do in life, and he's doing fine. From what I've heard, I've seen pictures on Facebook. He's doing well. Owns a couple of dogs I see now, a couple labs or retrievers. But looking back, I'm glad I didn't blow the place up, man. So I think you just got to keep thinking, keep your mind open, keep your heart open, and find better ways to deal with it, man. I don't have a ton of suggestions because I've never worked for the government, but I have wanted to blow up a room full of my peers and others because I got a small dead duck than everybody else. And that right there shows you that I was the problem. These people didn't know that their dead ducks were dissecting were going to be bigger. Nobody was part of that shit. This was this shit universe that I created in my head where my ego was hurt because I'm cutting on a dead duck, a mallard or whatever it was, shit mallard, and other people are doing regular sized dead animals, and I felt less than. So, and if you're turning to drugs and alcohol, dude, turn somewhere else, bro. Man up, dude. I'm going to tell you that. Man up, bro. All right, let's go on to another caller here, man. Let's see what we got here.
Hey, Theo, man. I really appreciate you doing these podcasts, man. I love it. You're really opening yourself to everybody, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you calling in, brother. Onward.
So the reason why I'm calling today is because I'd like a little bit of your advice. So I'm originally from America, of course, but I've been living in Thailand for the last 4 months.
Okay, you've been in Thailand. Now, a lot of people go to Thailand to do drugs and to do, sex parties and stuff. Also nice beaches. Onward.
And I've been dating this woman here. She's not actually Thai. She's from Myanmar, but...
He's dating a Myanmar. Woman from Myanmar. Fun to say. Fun to say that place, Myanmar.
I don't know. I had this infatuation with her for a bit. But today I ended that relationship, and I feel so much guilt. And I just want your advice about how you deal with, how you manage feeling guilty with the breakup. Because, we weren't dating long. We had our fair number of issues for sure. But at the same time, I just feel so guilty. She didn't see it coming. It's not something she really, I don't know, man. It seemed like I kind of blindsided her. It seemed to me that we were having issues near the end. But now that I finally...
Excuse me. Okay, so you were having issues, and you broke up with her, and you feel bad about it. Okay, make sure I'm getting it all. It's almost the end of the call. Let's keep going.
Finally did it. Now that I finally ended it, I just feel so much guilt. I feel so bad for her. So I don't know if you put this on here. I've been kind of rambling a bit, but...
Okay, man, I'm going to stop you right there. It sounds like you're closing up. You are feeling guilt because you broke up with someone, right? I've been there, man. I feel you, dude. The hardest thing to do, really, is to be honest with somebody and let them go when you don't feel like it's a right fit. Some of the reasons why I feel guilty or have felt guilty in the past from my experience is that I was uncertain. I didn't trust myself. Even though I knew that it was the right move, I just didn't trust myself, man. I didn't feel confident in who I was no matter what decision I was making. So to make a big choice, like to let somebody go that I had cared about at one time, at least decently, it sounds like you cared about this woman, it was very jarring afterwards. It's like you have like returner's remorse a little bit. I think what you need to do is just trust your instincts. And the reason you probably feel bad is because I think one of the reasons could be that you actually cared. And that's okay. It would be more revealing if you didn't feel bad. Because then, did you really care? If If it just goes on over your shoulder, then you didn't probably really care that much. But the fact that you care, dude, you miss her, you think about her. It was close to something that was probably really good or maybe perfect, or maybe the timing isn't right now. But the fact that you stood up and said, this isn't going to work for me, will probably leave the availability for that in the future if you guys change, because you manned up, dude. The toughest thing to do is to fucking do what you got to do. You could have meddled around and texted here and texted there. I mean, I got girls I've probably been texting on and off with for 7 years, when I think about it, that I'm never going to meet up with, ever. But we still like, what are you doing this week? What are you doing tonight? Maybe we can meet. Just because I'm afraid to cut ties, because I'm afraid to be confident that someone better is going to come to me. But it doesn't sound like that's what's going on with you. It just sounds like you cared, and you're bummed, and you cared about this girl, and you don't want her feelings to hurt. And that's nice of you. It's nice that you can empathize with her, but you don't want to make it so that, like, you hurting for her, like, you don't want to get kind of codependent like that, or like, like, oh, I feel so bad about what I did, I'm going to hurt for her as well. Like, just make sure you're not doing that, because that's kind of a place of, you putting yourself in the center of the universe role where, everyone's feelings have to be, you have to feel everyone's feelings. You don't have to do that, Just make sure that, it's just natural, comfortable, pain, discomfort, heartache. Those things are okay. It's weird that we got into this world these days where it's not okay to feel those, or it's not okay to inflict those on everybody. I think some of that goes back to the environment where everybody gets a trophy. We want to make everybody feel okay all the time. We're afraid to make others feel, almost really to make them feel. We're afraid to commit to love. We're afraid to commit to separation. So I commend you on being fearless about it, man. A while back, I met up with a girl, and we met for some pizza, a little bit of Italian, circle divided. And we spent time there chatting and eating, and it was nice. But then I realized immediately I didn't have the time to devote to getting to know her better. And I just, she checked in and I checked in. We said we had a nice time. But then I texted her and I said, I think you're great. I just don't have the time right now. It has nothing to do with you. I appreciate you hanging out with me. And it was probably one of the most adult things I'd done in a while, was just take responsibility, do what needed to be done. And even if she said, oh, I wasn't even thinking like that or whatever, that's fine. I'm just taking care of my side of my street so that my feelings aren't milling around with split ends, So anyway, I like what you're doing, man, and just feel that pain and feel what it feels like. Feel what it feels like to, you're not being a bad guy, but it's nice that you care, that you have some empathy and you concern for her feelings, and I think that's okay. I mean, it's tough because you probably want to check in and be like, are you all right, and this and that, but she's an adult, man. She's an adult, and she'll be okay. Now, if she, leaves you a voicemail saying she might shoot up her workplace or whatever, then maybe she's not even a woman. Maybe she's actually our first caller, Kyle. So anyhow, man, onward. Let's take one more call here and see what's going on. Thank you guys for listening, man. I'm awfully tired, but I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Again, I'm gonna give you that hotline number. I need some good voicemails. I want to get it interactive, and as soon as we can get this locked in the studio, we'll do some live calls, man. I want to get there, and I appreciate you sticking with me. That number is 985-664-9503. If you mess up your voicemail, leave it again. That's okay. That's totally okay. And we're going to create an email next week where you can email issues that you want me to discuss on the show as well. But I don't have that yet because I want to go to sleep, man. I want to go to sleep for 2.5 hours before I have to go to the airport. And I love you guys, but I don't fucking love you that much, dude. And I'm trying not to masturbate. and I'm, coming off this weird sugar high, dude, where, I mean, I'm going to shit froyo based on the fact of how many damn, baby Snickers I've had in the past 24 hours. Anyhow, one more call. Let's get to it right here. Here we go.
Hey, what's up, Theo? You mullet Gandhi. Appreciate the show. I'm a big fan, and I'm calling in, man. I need
Mullet Gandhi, that's kind of funny, man. It's 50% funny, maybe 70%. Thank you for that. Onward.
some advice. I just hit 34. Stuck in a job that I really don't like. It pays the bills, but I just need some direction, and it seems like it's been 10 years now, and I'm still looking for that direction, and just trying to figure out what to do for work. No sense being stuck in a job that I hate, but been at it for 10 years now. So if you could give me some advice.
Okay, man. So 10 years you've been in the same job. You don't really, you think you hate it. You're not sure, but you're making money. You're paying your bills. Well, is there something else you want to do? I think it's where you start. And maybe you don't know. I mean, look, man, I do comedy, right? I do this comedy job. I've been doing it for 14 years now. For 25 weekends a year, I've been on the road, slanging fucking dirt riddles up and down the damn coast and shithole everywhere, okay? And there's 2 days a week where I don't know if this is what I want to do, The greatest day I ever had in my life that brought me the most joy, I was in India one time, India the country, and I worked at a disabled children's home, cleaning out a yard that they needed cleaned because it was full of debris and bullshit, and they were going to build a playground there. And that was the only day of my life where I got to the end of my day and I felt useful as a human being. So, do I think that this is what I want to do forever? Do I think I'm being of the most service that I can be as a human? I don't know. I don't know. So I understand you thinking those things. I'd find what brings you joy and maybe start to experiment with that on the side, because you have to continue to pay your bills. You have to continue to work. You have to work. I lived with a friend of mine for a while, and his dad, who was an alcoholic as well and used to eat Tostitos chips all the time, and he and I would take turns sneaking out to the computer to watch pornography because they only had one computer there at the house. But his dad said, you got to work. That's what he told me. He said, you got to work. So you have to be working. You got to be contributing. You got to be keeping your flow going. So I'd keep the job until you have another idea. So I'd experiment with some things on the side. And if you find that you don't have something else that pops into your head, then maybe that work isn't the place where you need to find your joy. Sometimes your joy can come from somewhere else. We've attached our joy, I feel like these days, to our work. Your joy could come from anything. It could come from being a great parent. It could come from being a great son. Maybe you want to be a better nephew. Maybe you want to be a craftsman. Maybe you want to sing. I mean, you can find another place to find your joy. Then your work will just be this secondary thing that you do. And your true joy in life can still come from somewhere else. Your success in your life can be being a father. It can be being a son. Those are great jobs, man. Those are jobs we need in this world. People aren't doing those jobs anymore. Those are jobs that we need people to take seriously. The most joy that I feel these days is when I'm around my family. And dude, I never thought I would say that growing up. My family and I hate each other. My brother beat me with a chair one time, a very expensive antique chair. And I never thought that I would find the most joy in my life coming from my family. But these days, it warms my heart a lot of times when I think of the people that love me and that I'm able to have that accept my love. And that might be my legacy in this world. just the fact one day to know that I was a loving brother or sibling or father. And those can be a lot of our successes, you know. So I implore you to look in other places to find what maybe your success is, your calling is. And if you have some side items, some things you want to try for work, then do them. You know, experiment. But stay busy in the meantime. Stay working. Have an exit plan before you exit. You know, don't just get out there. I don't think that's the smartest idea. You got to keep paying your bills. You may be providing for family. I don't know. You didn't mention that. But they're going to want to eat. They're going to want to keep eating. You know, so it's just stay on your responsibilities and don't be bored. If you're not really experimenting with other things and you're just going to work and then just saying you don't like work, well, you're not doing that other side. We're actually getting out there and looking at other possibilities. So until you're willing to do that, you know, you can't really say, you know, I don't like my job. But if you're not, you know, really out experimenting to find out what else you do like, then yeah, maybe you don't like your job, but you like it enough that you're willing to stay there and not even experiment with other options. A little side, you know, your little side piece work. Get you a little side piece, something you know, you can still be banging your wife, your job, but you could kind of be, you know, jerking off on your side piece in the meantime, you know, until you see if that side piece could become a new wife. So those are just some of my thoughts. I don't know if that's super helpful or not, dude, but it's the middle of the fucking night, bro, and it's been a long weekend. You know what? I'll get to one more, man. I'll get to one more here. What's going on here? Actually, you know what? I'll do it next week, man. I got a follow-up. We had a guy who we'd reached out to a while back, and I'll drop that later on this week. We're also going to drop... I'm going to start dropping some things from my history, from the history of my career and stuff, on Fridays from the vault. So that'll come out this Friday. I gave you those dates. We'll get back into having some intro and outro music. I've had some amazing fans and friends that have reached out and offering to create some. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. And I just want to thank you guys for supporting and bearing with me, and for just being a part of my life each week. You know, I don't know what we're on to here, but we're on to something. And I'm going to try to just keep showing up, and you guys just try to keep showing up, and let's just keep figuring life out, dude. You know, we're still alive. You know, we made it. It's just another Monday. That's all it is. You know, this day doesn't define us. This is just a little piece in the big puzzle of whoever we're going to be. You know, this isn't our ending. This is just another opportunity to be a little bit better than we were last week. You know, progress, not perfection. If you're trying to be perfect, you got to shut that down. You got to shut it down. I try it, and that's why I end up laying in bed doing masturbation, wondering where this kid in Oregon has gone to and eating small Snickers. Because sometimes my brain logs back in and tells me I'm not perfect. Yeah, well, that's fine, brain. You know, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to tell you to your face, dude. You're right, I'm not perfect. But I'm not a bad person, you know? And I'm making progress, you know, and I care about myself. You know, as scary as it is to say that sometimes, dude. You know, that's one thing I've noticed recently in my life is, for some reason, it's scary for me to admit that I care about myself. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just for so long I didn't care, but for some reason it's scary for me to admit that I care about myself. So, I don't know. We learn as we go. But progress, not perfection. And thank you guys for joining me this week on This Past Weekend. I implore you to be good to yourself, because I bet you deserve it, man. You know, I really bet you do. I'll see you guys soon. All right, thank you so much for the support. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Tell your friends to check out the pod. I'm eternally grateful, too, to some of my podcast brothers who gave me opportunities to be on their podcast and who have helped me learn some of the ropes and inspire me. Joe Rogan, Coco Diaz, The Fighter and the Kid. I got a text from Joe the other night after I did a comedy set, and he said, "Hey man, that was a great set." And I didn't know he was standing there watching or anything like that, and he didn't have to do that. But it was just nice. It's nice when if we have any experience in something, if we reach out to somebody younger who's new or novel into the same environment and just cheer them on. It's amazing how far that goes, It meant a ton to me when I was a kid when somebody did that, if somebody showed interest. And it's funny, it still resonates with me when I'm an adult. So today, if you're thinking about yourself and you think you're having a tough day or a tough time or something, why don't you maybe just reach out to somebody else who's younger than you or who is newer at work than you. I know if you only got a year and a half left, you think about shooting up the place, dude. Just text somebody who just got it to the workplace, who just started there and be like, dude, there's going to come a time when you're going to want to shoot this place up. Don't do it, Or just share something nice, man. It's amazing how we all have the power to boost somebody's spirits. Sometimes we just forget that. And I'm going to try to remember that today as well. I'm going to try to get out of myself and get back onto my program of reaching out to others and just quit thinking about me. Because when my brain thinks about me, dude, it doesn't think the best about me. That's what's wrong with my brain, But when it thinks about other people, it really cares. So I'm just going to try to live right there. And hopefully I'll be in a better mood next week. I appreciate you guys listening to me vent all this bullshit. Be good to yourselves, man. Take care. Thank you. This past weekend,